Everybody, good afternoon. You're all welcome to today's live section on Instagram with Nexi Concepts Limited. My name is Anthony. I'm a counselor in Nexi Concepts Limited. Okay, so today I'll be taking you on the procedure or the process to getting your CAS. Okay, so you're all welcome. I can see most people are joining. Thank you very much for joining. John Vianney, thank you. Game Boy, thank you for joining. King Vinny, thank you very much for joining in. Amanda Faith, thank you. Olat Money, thank you very much for joining. Okay, so today we're talking about the CAS process. Okay, talking about the Pre-CAS interview, the CAS Shield, how to calculate your proof of funds. Okay, and also the things you need to do before applying for your student visa. Okay, so you are all welcome today. Like I said before, my name is Anthony. I'm counseling officer in Nexi Concept Limited. Okay, so I want to thank all that is joining in now. Thank you very much for joining our live section. Thank you. So I'll just go straight to the point. Okay, so the first on my list is Pre-CAS interview. What do you understand by Pre-CAS interview? Pre-CAS interview is a process where the school conducts an interview that would lead to them giving you CAS. Okay, so this interview, they'll ask you a lot of questions concerning the school, why you want to study in the UK, why you choose to study the course you're studying, so many questions. So I'll be running through some of the questions in due time and also giving you some tips on how to go about answering those questions. Okay, and also I'm talking about Pre-CAS checklist. This checklist are also questions that the schools also ask in form of interview. Okay, so they ask these questions and you give them the accurate answer for them to prepare your CAS. And also we have some schools do Pre-CAS Questionnaire. Okay, so what they do is just like Pre-CAS question, but this one is not an interview. It is a list of questions that you need to answer for them to prepare your CAS. Okay, and also we're talking about proof of funds, how much you'll be needing, how to calculate it, both inside London and outside London. Okay, both for the applicants and for the dependents. Okay, so join me as I take you through all this today. The first one is Pre-CAS interview. Like I said before, Pre-CAS interview is an interview that will that the school conducts before they can issue you CAS. Okay, so and some of them come in. Some of this question I already asked on your personal statement. So if you've written your personal statement very well, I don't think Pre-CAS interview will be a problem for you, because most of the things you've written in your personal statement are also being asked during the Pre-CAS interview. Okay, so Pre-CAS interview is an interview that is conducted for most students, because not all schools actually conduct Pre-CAS interview. Okay, so they vary from question to question. Like I said, if you written your personal statement very well, there's no point. There's no need to be scared of the interview. Okay, so some of the questions they ask is, why have you chosen the UK? Or why have you chosen to study in the UK aside the rest of the world, rest of the other countries like USA or Canada? What are your reasons? Why did you consider studying the UK? Okay, so you need to tell them about some of the reasons, like UK is is close to your home country. UK is the home of English. There are so many tourist attractions in the UK, and there are so many reasons why you actually chose to study in the UK. So this will give them an insight of what you are coming to do. If you are coming there to to do something other than school, they are going to know. So that means you need to answer the questions accordingly and tell them what they need to hear. Also, they will tell you to compare the school you are going to with other schools. Okay, so why have you chosen to study? Let me take for instance, why have you chosen to study in the University of Dundee other than other universities, or did you consider other universities before choosing University of Dundee? And of course, you need to give them the reasons why you've chosen to study at University of Dundee, for example. I just took Dundee for example. So you need to give them the reasons. Talk about facilities in the school, talk about the school environment, talk about the alumni that came out of the school, talk about the cost. If the school fees is actually affordable, the tuition fees is affordable, if the deposit is affordable, you tell them all that, okay? You also tell them what the school gives in terms of modules, cost modules, instrumental payments and all that. So all these things actually contribute why we select a particular school. And also they might tell you to tell them about your last qualification, probably your last degree. And some of us, we've studied masters before. Our first degree is BSc or Bachelor's in Engineering, Bachelor's in Arts. So you tell them about your last degree. And they might go as far as asking you what is your best subject in your last degree. So you tell them all that. And also they might ask you, why have you chosen to study the course you want to study? Take for instance, public health. Why have you chosen to study MSc Public Health at so and so university? So you have to give them the reasons why you chose to study public health, okay? Now, you can talk about the course modules that public health offers in a particular school. You can talk about the job opportunities that is associated with public health. You can tell them the high employment rate after studying public health as a course. So there are so many reasons why you choose to study public health, okay? So you have to give them the reasons behind you going to study public health at that particular school. And also, one of the important questions they ask is, what is the relevance of this course to your future career plans? Your future, how is this course going to affect you? How is it going to boost your career? Then you have to tell them the reason behind that course, affecting your career in the future, if it is going to affect it positively, which is the main reason why we've chosen to actually study abroad, okay? Then, other questions might come like accommodation. Where do you choose to stay? Have you paid for your accommodation? Have you secured a place to stay? They don't want you to come to the country and be stranded. Okay, so you need to tell them that you've secured a place, you've spoken to some agents, and they've actually chosen a particular accommodation for you, and you've even seen it on the website. It's a very good accommodation, nice accommodation, and it is close to the school, the trackable distance. If it is 5 minutes walk to the school, if it is a studio accommodation, if it is a one-bed accommodation, how much is the accommodation? Is it £80 per week? Is it £120 per week? They want to know so that they will be sure that you are coming there and they very secured accommodation while coming to that country. So those are the questions, most important questions, and also your finance. They might ask you, what is your tuition fee? Have you paid deposit? How much have you paid for your deposit? And how much do you need to come study in the UK? You need to tell them all this because they want to know that you actually know about your finance and how much you'll be needing so that you not come there and be stranded, okay? That is for pre-CAS questions. So they might ask you other questions, other questions that might come through research, like what is your cost level? What do you think this course can actually do in your life as a public as a business analyst or as an international business student? How can this course affect you? So these are the things that they need to know, okay? So another one on the list is Pre-CAS Checklist. Okay, some schools actually do deal with Pre-CAS Checklist. I would speak on some of the questions for Pre-CAS Checklist. Okay, some schools like University of Dundee, Plymouth University, they actually use Pre-CAS Checklist, and this Pre-CAS Checklist is nothing other than that you giving them your details. Okay, like your name. If it is some will even bring out your details and tell you to check if they are correct, so that they will know what to actually use to prepare your CAS. Some of the questions come in form of what is your name, what is your student ID, your email address, your international passport number, your date of birth, your course name, course start date, course end date, if you've traveled overseas before, if you've been refused visa to the UK or to any other country before. They want to know all this because these are some of the things that they need to use to assess you before giving you your CAS. And also they want to know if you are coming through a representative. Like Next is a very is recognized worldwide. So if you're coming to NEXI, of course you have to include NEXI in your Pre-CAS checklist and in your also your CAS, so that when you send it to the school, they know that okay, you're coming from a particular agency. So those are the questions for Pre-CAS checklist. Okay, and Pre-CAS questionnaire is also known as Pre-CAS interview, but this time around it is not a face-to-face interview. There are a list of questions, the same questions they ask during the Pre-CAS interview are those same questions they will ask you in your in your Pre-CAS questionnaire. So these questions are also the ones I've listed before. Why have you chosen to study in the school? Why did you choose to study in the UK? Why have you chosen to study the course you're going for? Okay, sorry, some people are asking questions on, okay, don't worry, I'll attend to your questions immediately after I've given my own talk. So just keep your question, write it down. So when I ask for the questions, you can actually type them out, and I'll give you the respective answers to these questions. Thank you. So Pre-CAS questionnaire, just like I said earlier, it is an interview, but not physical interview this time around. It is a written interview that you have to answer the questions and send it back to the school. These questions include: what's your name, your date of birth, why have you chosen to study at a particular school, why have you chosen to study in the UK, why have you, what is the relevance of this course to your future career, why did you choose to return to education at this age or at this period. Okay, those are the questions you ask. How much is your finance, what have you been doing, how this course is going to affect your career, and so on and so forth. There are so many questions attached to that. And for our students, we actually help them in filling these questions, okay, because we go above and beyond to see that our students are comfortable. Even with the Pre-CAS interview too, we actually prep our students, okay, on the right things to do, how to comport themselves. If they have new questions, if there's updates on the Pre-CAS questions, we give it to them. We tell them what they need to expect, and we also give them the required answers after they making their own research, okay. So we'll put them in the right direction. Then the next one I'm talking about is the CAS Shield. Now, not all schools uses CAS Shield, but some schools actually use CAS Shield. Some schools will conduct a Pre-CAS interview and also tell you to fill the CAS Shield. Now, what is a CAS Shield? A CAS Shield is an online self-service system that enables students or candidates to upload their required documents and also answer some few questions to request for their CAS. So it is like is an online platform that is meant for you to upload the necessary documents you need to get your CAS. While some schools do interview and also uses CAS Shield, some schools does not do interview and also uses CAS Shield. So this school is like South Wales, University of South Wales. They don't do interview, but they use CAS Shield. Birmingham University, they do interview and they also use CAS Shield. University of South Wales, University of Sunderland also does not do interview, but they have CAS questionnaires and they also have CAS Shield. So these are the things that we all need to know. It is good you make research on the school you are going to, so that you know what's expected of you at a particular point. If they are needing CAS Shield, they don't need CAS Shield. Some don't even need CAS Shield at all. Once you make your payments and submit your bank statement and your proof of funds, you are good to go. Your CAS is ready. You just send you a Pre-CAS checklist for you to fill your details and they give you your CAS. Okay, so back to the CAS Shield. Now, the CAS Shield, there are some questions they also ask on the CAS Shield, because the CAS Shield is assigned to every student. Once you get an unconditional offer, then you'll be assigned a CAS Shield. Now, that CAS Shield, your name is there already, so it's just for it to validate it. Date of birth is there, just validate it, and then you click OK. Then they also ask you about your dependents. If you're coming with dependents, if you're not coming with dependents. They ask you about your visa refusal. They ask you to calculate your finance, how much you'll be needing to study in the UK. And they ask you if you have that money ready in your bank account. If it has gone below so and so amount of days, some schools say 30 days, some schools tell you 60 days. So depending on the school, and depending on how the CAS Shield is being designed for that particular school. Okay. So now on the CAS Shield, you're also required to upload some documents, some important documents that you used in your application. Okay, so like your certificates, your transcripts, your English tests, that's your O level for those going for that does not have the IELTS and other tests. you have to upload your English test, that's your WAEC or NECO, or any other results that you used in making the application. Okay, and this CAS Shield is also a place where you upload your TB test, that's tuberculosis test, and it's also a place where you upload your proof of fund, that's your bank statement, how much you'll be needing to come study in the UK. And also, if they have other documents that they need to upload, like consent letter and all that, they'll provide a space where you upload all those documents while filling the CAS Shield. So now, after filling the CAS Shield, how to know that you've completed the CAS Shield is, once you finish filling, it will start reading in form of percentage. So it starts from 25%, okay? Then moves to 30, 39, and so forth and so on, and so on, so that at the end of the day, once it is 100, they will tell you your CAS is being prepared. So within a day or two, your CAS will be issued. So that is how, and if they require any other documents, they will send you a message on the CAS Shield. Okay, the message, I think, is on the right-hand side of the CAS Shield. Once you click on the message, you see what they are requesting. If it is for you to upload a supporting document, or probably you missed or you failed the Pre-CAS interview, you'll be notified of that particular section of the CAS Shield. And they might also send a mail in that regard, so that since if you're not checking your CAS Shield, you also get a mail, so that you'll be notified that you need to do a particular thing on your CAS Shield. Okay, so that is for CAS Shield. Then for bank statements, how do we calculate our bank statement, or our proof of fund, as it is being called? So, and we all know that for proof of funds, for living expenses, you need your balance of your tuition and your living expenses to calculate your proof of funds. And for those going with dependents, of course, you include that of your dependent. Okay, the living expenses of your dependent. And now, for proof of funds, we have living expenses in the UK, in London. We also have living expenses outside London. So there are two. It's either you're staying inside London or you're staying outside London, no matter the state or the country in which you are within United Kingdom. And other countries too, they have their own different living expenses. But I'm particularly about United Kingdom, okay? So for those living inside London, that's for the applicants, your living expenses is £12,006 in a year. That's for the calendar year. You're needing £12,006, and for dependents, you're needing £7,605. Okay. For outside London, you'll be needing, for applicants, it is £9,207. For dependent, it is £6,120. Now, how do you calculate your bank statement for both your visa application and to get your CAS? Because some schools actually require bank statement or proof of fund before getting CAS. Now, it is, when you get an offer, unconditional offer, they'll ask you to pay a specific amount as tuition deposit, okay? So if, let's take for instance, your school fees is £15,000, okay, and your school is outside London, and you're required to pay £5,000 as deposit, okay? Now, the proof of fund require you to balance up your tuition fee and your living expenses. Now, you've paid £5,000 out of £15,000. Now, you'll be left with £10,000, okay? £10,000 plus your living expenses, which is you're staying outside London, which is plus £9,207. So if we put £9,207, sorry, let me use the calculator. 10,000 plus 9,207, that is £19,207. Okay, and now how do you calculate it with the rate of pounds? We have a website where you can check the equivalent of pounds in naira, which is called oanda.com. So if you go to Oanda, you'll be given the rates as of that day, and that is the rate in which these schools use to calculate your bank statement. Okay, so as of today, Sorry, let me quickly check Rwanda rate for pounds for today. So as of today, the rate of £1 to Nigerian naira is 1,016 naira. £1 is equal to 1,016 naira, which is very high. We all know the rate of pounds has gone up in Nigeria. The rate of foreign currencies has gone up in Nigeria. Before, it used to be about 500 and something naira. It used to be about 550, 560. Highest we've gone so far was 580. But now, for the past 1 month or two, it has been between 900 and 1,000. You understand? So now, to get the amount you need for start counting for 28 days that you need for CAS and for CAS and your visa, but you need 28 days maximum, 29 days, between 28 days and 30 days, but the minimum is 28 days. Okay, so our times 19,207 times. Now you're not going to use the exact amount you're seeing on the Rwanda website, because tomorrow it might increase to 1,001 or 1,002. You don't even know how much it will be tomorrow. So we tell our students to calculate it with 1,002 or 1,250. You understand? So that between that 28 days, if it is 1,001, you are still covered, or 1,150, you are still covered. Okay. Now in the CAS Shield, there's a place that asks you if this amount has gone below so amount in the last 30 days or in the last 60 days. Okay, now you said no. So if they are calculating, you're checking your bank statement and you find out that you lied or something, the fluctuation happened and it was below, it will be a problem. They will call you or they will tell you to explain why it was like that. Okay, so you need to have something higher in your bank account. So you don't use the exact amount you're seeing on Rwanda or the exact amount your friend told you to use. You use something higher. You might add 200 naira or 300 naira to that amount. Like this one I'm seeing now is 1,016 naira. So you might just use 1,020 naira. 1,200 naira or 1,300. We know that between now and 28 days, though we're in Nigeria, we don't know what will happen. But we just hope that between the 28 days period or 29 days period, it is not above that amount. Okay, so that when sending it to the school, you don't have to answer any question, or they don't have to tell you that the money in your account is not enough for your studies. Okay. Then for those going with dependents, you also include the living expenses of your dependent, which is £6,120. Okay, so you include it with your own calculation, so that because when filling the CAS sheet, or when probably doing the interview, they might ask you if you're coming with dependent and you say yes. They'll ask you how many, you say 3 or 2, 1, as the case may be. Now they have that record. So when calculating your bank statement, or when doing your proof of funds, or when building your account, you're required to also include that of your dependent. Okay, and you leave it, you start running it, you start counting, as the case may be, for 28 days, because they need a recent and updated or recent bank statement for them to issue you CAS. So if you send them probably a week before or 2 weeks before, they'll tell you to update it, to send them an updated one. Okay, I need to send them an updated one. They will use the rate at that particular day to calculate it for you. Okay, so that is it for bank statement. And those inside London too, they will use, living inside London and living outside London, they are two different things. Inside London is much more expensive than living inside London is much more expensive than living outside London. So if you are schooling in London, you'll be required to provide a higher amount in your bank. And the rate at which we are going now, you need more money. That's just the truth. We need more money in our account. So I think that is all for bank statement. And all these things I've been saying so far, are these things that you need before you can get your CAS. Okay, before you can get your CAS. So your CAS, some people are asking what is the full meaning of CAS. CAS is Confirmation of Acceptance for Study, CAS, CAS. Okay, this is a document, and it carries a unique number in which you use to, process your student visa, because everybody has their own unique number, that's unique CAS number. Okay, so it is given to you by the school and recognized by UKVI. Everything about you is in that number. Once you put your number in their system, your details and information will just come up. Okay, so I'm seeing some questions rather. Sorry. Okay, so I think I'll start taking questions now at this point, so before I continue. Okay, sorry. I want to read out some of the questions that have been asked. So, question is, so if you say that you don't have a dependent in the CAS Shield, will that affect you if you change your mind and decide to go with your dependent during visa interview? No, it doesn't actually change anything, okay? Because the school wants to see your proof of funds because you told them that you are the only one going. So the school doesn't even have information about your dependents, okay? But when you're applying for visa, that is when you can now, apply with your dependent, because as a student, and let me just chip this in, after September 2024, if you're going for your course starting in January 2024, you cannot go with your dependent. So going with dependent ends September 2023. So if you're going with dependent, if you're going with your spouse, you cannot, once it's January 2024, you can no longer go with your spouse, okay? So if you, like this question said, if you said you don't have dependent during your CAS checklist or CAS interview, and you decide to change your mind and decide to go dependent during your visa interview, it doesn't actually change anything. It doesn't mean, because you already gotten your CAS, and your CAS covers your dependent, okay? So it doesn't actually mean, it doesn't actually mean or affects your chances of getting visa. Okay, so I'm waiting for other questions. If you have other questions, you can ask. Okay, so if there is none, I think I would okay, so I think I've done justice to this topic about the Pre-CAS checklist, the CAS Shield. So if there's any question on the CAS Shield, you can actually ask. Okay, and if there's any question you need to know, if you have any other questions, probably after this live, all you need to do is just send us a DM. We are a DM away. Or send us a DM, we'll respond and give you the next information that you need to know. Somebody's asking if does Sunderland have CAS deadline? Of course, Sunderland has CAS deadline. All schools has CAS deadline. All schools has CAS deadline. All schools have deposit deadline. And the CAS deadline is the dates that you need to submit your CAS documents. That's CAS document most times is your tuberculosis test, your proof of fund, your proof of payment for deposit, and I think that's basically all for CAS documents. Okay, does Sunderland University have CAS deadline? Yes, they have CAS deadline. All schools have CAS deadline, because that is the day that they stop receiving documents or they stop issuing CAS for that particular intake. So some schools' CAS deadline has passed. Some school CAS deadline is by the end of the month, and some probably next month. That's August. Sometimes it's August, because some schools actually give late CAS. So when is the CAS deadline? Because I still have 2 weeks before my POF matures. Okay, so for the CAS deadline for Sunderland, please after this live, you can send me a DM. Then I'll give it to you. Okay, I'll give it to you. That's for sure. So after this live now, all you need to do is send me a DM so that I can actually do justice to that. Okay, thank you, Raymond to the world. Thank you very much. G-Day Call, thank you for joining. I want to appreciate everybody that is on this live today. So in case you have you have questions after this live, please don't forget to send us a DM or ask your questions. We are readily available to take as much questions as possible. And also, January application has started. Okay, so for those going in January, please do well, send us a DM so that we can guide you on what you need to do and what you need to know for January 2024 applications. Okay, thank you very much. So if you have any other question, you can ask. Okay, Raymond, I see you. Thank you very much. Okay, please send me a DM after this live so I can do justice to that question. Thank you. Thank you. So at this point, my name remains Anthony. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.